The MMA fortune teller.
The teller, the teller, the teller, the teller, the teller, the teller.
What is up, you guys? The Ultimate Fighter Season 29, Episode 4 recap coming at you guys. We finally got an episode where the fight delivered. And I think it did a little more than even just deliver. I think it was one of the better fights we've seen on The Ultimate Fighter in some time. Of course, the fight being Dustin Lampros versus Vincent Murdock. Fight took place in the bantamweight division. Two of the better fighters on the show, in my opinion. The fight was very, very exciting. Both these guys came out looking for the kill. And we'll be getting to that fight here in a second. A quick side note. A lot of you have been asking me about this newly added bout to this weekend's card. Warley Alves taking on Jeremiah Wells. I'll have that out to you guys hopefully by the end of today. I'll have this fight prediction video out to you guys today, just for those of you guys that are wondering about that. But again, so on today's episode, episode 4, we had Dustin Lampros taking on Vincent Murdock, and taking place in the bantamweight division. These are two solid fighters. Lampros, a guy that's been really, really hyped up, but didn't have as much experience as Murdock. Lampros was 5-0. Vincent Murdock, I believe, 12-4. I believe right around there at the time. And I slightly edged Lampros going into this fight. He's been nothing but a killer, and the limited amount of experience he has, and trains with the best of them over here in South Florida with Sanford MMA. And I know he brushed his shoulders with a lot of guys, so I was kind of on him here. This guy has that killer instinct, has a good frame for the division. And Vincent Murdock, though, is a guy that's really evolving his game as well. He's been in the game for a little bit now too, but he's really starting to hit his peak here, in my opinion. So going into this episode, these were guys that were actually quite friendly going into the show. If you guys watch the show, they talked about how they were they met each other basically on the show as soon as it started. So they were more cool with each other than anybody else in the show. But it just so happens, of course, in this game they're going to be fighting, especially on this show. And it was a little awkward for them, they said at times. But, of course, once the fight was said and done, they were able to move on from the awkwardness. Before we get into the fight, a couple side notes from the episode. You had Henner Gracie popping in with Ortega. They were eating a steak with the boys here on the show. Some cool little things going on. This guy, man, Trayshawn Gore. Tell me what you guys think, because in my opinion, this guy, Trayshawn Gore, definitely talented on the feet. Obviously, we need to see a lot more from him before we really know how good of a fighter he is. But I don't really like his personality. That they showed him, talking with Ryder Newman again, and just the way that he talks to him, I don't like his energy. He tries to come off like he's being this nice guy. He'll say a bunch of stuff and then be like, "Oh, we're both, we're both brothers. We're sons of our God," or whatever. But meanwhile, before that, he's talking down to him, just like, like, it's just a given. I was gonna beat your ass and this and that. Like the way he talks to him, it's like I like the confidence, but I think it's just disrespectful in my opinion. He comes off a little bit like he's out of touch with how to communicate with people, And luckily enough for him, this guy Ryder Newman is just like a really nice dude, and he's sitting there, "Oh yeah," as Trayshawn's just basically sonning him, talking to him like a son and this and that. Have a little bit more respect. I don't know. That's how I look at it. So I'm kind of hoping that we see Trayshawn Gore get a solid fight in there, someone that's going to really bring the fight to him, because Ryder Newman didn't do that. So just a little side note there. Going into this fight, Vincent Murdock, they talked a little bit about this brain issue that he had. He had to have a major surgery. It was actually found by way of him about to be having a fight in the UFC, and when they were doing some evaluations on him, the doctor saw that, so that was a good thing. It seems like he's very healthy. He's in fighting shape now. He can fight, and it's great to see that he recovered from that whole situation. Dustin Lampros, this was a guy, they showed a little bit of his background story. He lost his mother due to an overdose. It's a pretty sad story. He felt a little bit guilty for the fact that he left her, they're from the Midwest, and he left to come down to South Florida, and she had a little bit of a drug issue. His younger brother discovered the body, and he says he fights for his younger brother now. So he kind of had to feel for him as far as his background story. I kind of felt for him a little bit there, and moving forward, he's definitely fighting with a heavy heart. So that was kind of the background story of these two guys. Again, though, Vincent Murdock, 3 years older, but does have a good amount had a good amount of more experience going into this fight. Real quick, Vincent Murdock was 12-4 at the time. Team Alpha Male product. Lampros only 5-0. This was a very good fight on paper. Vince Murdock, you started to sense the confidence of him as this fight was starting to unravel. As they were walking out to the cage, I felt like this guy Vince. The more I was watching this, I was like, you know what, man, I think this guy Vince is probably going to show up. Even though initially I was on Lampros, I was like, I don't know, something about this vibe I'm getting from Murdock. Also, a quick little side note too, man. Maybe I'm looking into things a little bit much, but Dustin Lampros, I shot him a message, which I said I've messaged with him a little bit very shortly, but back on Instagram a while ago. Seemed to be a very, very nice guy. I shot him a message, just saying good luck. I know his episode was on the horizon, and I hope everything went good. I'm excited to see him fighting there. And he saw the message. It said seen, but not even a little like or nothing. Nothing. He just kind of left it stale. And I started to kind of look into things. I had this gut feeling that when he didn't like the post that I did, because I even did a little post and everything, that he saw it and didn't like it. I had this gut feeling that he lost a fight, because it seemed to me like he was a little bit bitter about the fight. He wasn't really trying to pay it any mind, because normally he wasn't like that. He's been a very nice guy in the past from the limited amount of interaction. So I kind of had this gut feeling. I'm like, he lost this fight. And that's exactly what happened. So again, this fight was a barn burner right away. Lampros was pushing the pace. Lampros connected with a couple solid shots as well. He was the aggressor in the beginning, but then you kind of saw a momentum shift. Murdock, even when he got tagged, Murdock came right back out and was throwing some nasty strikes out himself. And you saw him start to land some big shots. And that's exactly what ended up happening. Murdock clipped him with a really, really solid shot as Lampros was pressing. And it put him on Queer Street, kind of turned his back. He was almost like in a weird situation where he was turning his back trying to get away. Murdock swarmed him, took his back, started raining some shots from the side. Lampros worked his way up to the cage there, and Murdock hit him with a nasty knee that basically he ended the fight there. Didn't put him unconscious, but the fight was clearly over there. So now Vincent Murdock, again, real quick, gets the victory here. I don't know. He might be the favorite to win the bantamweight tournament here in the Ultimate Fighter. He's looking really, really good. We know that he's been brushing shoulders with great fighters, especially around this size at Team Alpha Male. The experience is there. Yes, he had the loss to Luis Saldana. He was undersized in that fight. Fight took place in the featherweight division. And as far as it goes in the bantamweight division, he looks great out there. The footwork was phenomenal. He has a kid on the horizon coming with his wife, I believe. So shout out to him for all that. He's really got his thing going. I'm going to be rooting for him to win the rest of the show for that division. Dustin Lampros, I hope we see him bounce back. I think he definitely will. He's going to be getting fights in the UFC in the near future. I love the aggression that he brought into the fight. Keep in mind, too, he had a horrible weight cut going into this fight. This tournament style, you don't know when you're going to fight, this and that. You got to be on top of things. You got to be ready to cut that weight, because he had a very, very bad weight cut. And you got to wonder if that affected him with him getting finished too. But this is a guy I definitely think that we'll see him knocking some dudes out in the near future. Hopefully in the UFC, and hopefully he'll stick around the UFC. But if not, we'll be seeing his name regardless around the way. I really truly believe that. He's an aggressive, fan-friendly type of fighter. So after that, we saw some bickering from Ortega and Volkanovski. One of the coaches from Ortega's side was kind of poking some jabs that, they've won every fight. And one of Volkanovski's, it was Michael Chiesa, who was a special guest. Michael Chiesa was getting aggressive with the Ortega coach over there, saying, don't talk about the fighters, keep it between just the coaching or whatnot. But I think that Chiesa was taking it the wrong way, in my opinion. I don't know how you guys how you felt about that. Chiesa was being a little touchy there. Obviously, it's all in good fun, man. This is it's a bunch of men that are that are fighting, and they're in this tournament type of team battle. There's nothing wrong with winning and talking crap about it after. If you won, if you don't like the fact that they're winning, then it's up to those guys to go out there and win themselves. If they don't want to hear guys teasing them after the fact about it, so it is what it is. There, I don't know. Chiesa's got to loosen up a little bit, in my opinion. But that will take us to next week's episode, where Bryan Battle will be taking on Kemran Lachinov, Killer Kem. This is a cool fight here. You guys know I've been saying this for some time since we started these Ultimate Fighter recap shows. I like this guy, Bryan Battle. I feel like this guy is one of the cooler, down-to-earth type of guys. I like guys that are like that. They don't take themselves too serious. I hope that Battle can show up and deliver in the cage when push comes to shove. But this guy seems to be like a very cool, down-to-earth type of fighter. And I'm rooting for him to win the middleweight side of things on the show. His opponent is no joke. This is a guy that has Bellator experience, Kemran Lachinov, a very tough dude. If you guys want to see a cool video, look him up on YouTube. You can see this one incident where he had in the Bellator cage where he ate a good shot, ate a good hook, and was dropping his hands and walking his opponent down, sticking his chin out there. So this guy is an entertaining guy in the cage. You can expect something like that from him here in this fight. I think that he'll be walking forward, looking to make this an absolute war. Bryan Battle, a guy that kind of reminds me a little bit of like an Eric Spicely, maybe not as tricky on the map, but does have grappling too. This guy's not necessarily, some physical specimen or physical crazy athlete in there, but I think that he has good cardio, decent power, and works the ground game pretty good. He works the positions and has some power with his ground and pound and can pull off a sub there too. 6'2". For the middleweight division, has a decent frame on him. Maybe could be a little bit more chiseled. Could work on his athletic abilities, but I think that this guy is a cool dude, and I hope that he pulls off the victory here, and hopefully he could get the first W for Team Volkanovski, because they don't have one W, on their side yet. Ortega's been running things, and fights that we still have on the horizon. We got Dan Argueta, Miles Hunsinger, Josh Reddinghouse. And then, Ricky Tercios, Gilbert Urbina, Brady Hastend, and that's about it. So those are the 3 fights that we haven't seen yet. 3 fighters we haven't seen yet. And so about 4 more fights, right? Yep. Until we had everybody have their first official bout, and then we'll move through the bracket, and we'll start to see these fights take place where we work our way to the winner of this show. So on paper, if I'm being honest, I kind of edge Lachinov to win this fight. Killer Kem. I was breaking tape down on him. I think that he's going to have the edge in the feet. I think he'll be the better striker here. Battle's going to have to make this an ugly fight. He's going to have to have better cardio, working some grappling, and maybe he can make things get ugly in there, and he could take this victory. But if I have to edge somebody, I'm going to take Kemran Lachinov, who wasn't he the last pick? I believe he was the last pick. I think both these guys were the last picks. Battle went last right before him, and then Lachinov went last. So that's always kind of cool to see. I know these guys have a chip on their shoulder, and I'm rooting for Bryan Battle. Wouldn't be surprised at all if he pulls it off. But again, only 6 professional fights compared to Lachinov's 14 professional fights, so more than double the amount of professional experience in there. The striking edge for Kemran, and that's why I'm slightly edging him. But I'm really hoping Team Volk can finally pull something off over here. They need to get a W. And that's gonna finish up this recap of episode 4. Looking forward to next week's episode, or next week's episode, taking place Tuesday nights, and it'll be exciting as we start to see these brackets dwindle down to the end. We get to see these semifinals and this and that. We get to the winner of these shows. It's going to be exciting. Really, really excited for that, man. I always feel like the show really starts to spice up towards the end of it, where you see these guys that are very talented working their way towards the top, and see the top guys clashing. So excited for that. All right, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Like I said, you can expect the breakdown video coming out to you later here today of Warley Alves and Jeremiah Wells. And catch me on Instagram, MMA Fortune Teller _. Catch me on Twitter. It's all there below. And I will be doing some Instagram live videos this upcoming weekend. So come join me. I'd love to have you guys in the live videos. If you guys get any questions or anything like that, hop in there and ask away. All right, guys? So far, we have 3 official plays for the weekend, and I'm still thinking about throwing 1 or 2 more fights, official plays there. So if you guys are interested in those plays, reach out to me. All right, guys. Any comments, questions, or concerns? You guys got all my information below, my email, my social media. Feel free to reach out to me. Tell me anything you want. All right, guys. Signing out.
The MMA Fortune Teller.
The teller.